Once again today, join us as we journey through the most extraordinary and disturbing stories, legends and mysteries that will leave you questioning reality itself. What could be the driving force for this crime? A young girl was lured to the woods by her 12-year-old friends and was stabbed by them 19 times, with one stab merely missing a vital artery.
Here are some of the most disturbing 911 calls. Part 3. A man named Greg Steinberg was riding his bike down a trail when he spotted a young girl lying on the side of the road. He approached her and noticed she was covered in blood and fighting to survive. He immediately called the police to report his finding. Here is a clip of that call.
So, are you with this 12-year-old female?
Yeah, she says she's having trouble breathing. She said she was stabbed multiple times.
Okay, so you see any active bleeding or blood spurting out or anything like that?
No, unless it's underneath her. I just see dried blood.
While Steinberg was with the girl, whose name was Peyton Leutner, she told him about the horrific crime that had taken place. She was originally supposed to have a sleepover with her two friends, Anissa Weir and Morgan Geyser. All of them were 12 years old at the time. The two girls lured Leutner into the woods of Davids Park, located in Waukesha, Wisconsin, where they pinned her to the ground and proceeded to stab her 19 times, one missing an artery connected to her heart by less than a millimeter. Luckily, Leutner survived and has since come out and talked about her experience publicly. She is currently 21 years old.
This is as close as a person can get to death. Imagine if you were on a plane and the plane suddenly starts free falling and heading for the ocean. What would be your reaction?
Scariest close calls with death. A man recorded this on his GoPro in 2019 and it captures the moment the plane he was in crashes into the ocean. Something happened to the plane's engine and the plane instantly started going down straight into the water. What would you do in this situation? Thankfully, everyone on the plane survived and were rescued shortly after.
Seems like we are about to have an AI invasion, and there is seemingly nothing AI can't do anymore. This is the latest development in how far AI can go to make human life simple.
Did you hear that AI may have found alien communication? So there's an organization called SETI that collects data on radio transmissions that are coming into Earth's atmosphere. They're looking for non-Earth-based techno-signatures that they believe could come from extraterrestrials. But over the last few decades, they haven't really found much. There's no doubt that these radio transmissions exist, but a lot of them are just coming from stars as they pulsate, and a lot of the transmissions just kind of get jumbled up with the radio transmissions that are coming from Earth. But recently, they implemented AI to sort through the data and to clean it up, and the AI found something. The AI found 8 techno-signatures hidden in the radio transmissions that it believes could be from extraterrestrials. Right now, it's not exactly clear what these techno-signatures are, if it's alien tech or if it's aliens trying to communicate with us. But researchers are saying that the best case scenario is that these transmissions contain information on alien civilization.
Joanne goes to a haunted building and doesn't come back. While police are investigating, they realize that Joanne was not alone in that building, and as a matter of fact, there is a Polaroid to prove this.
Could easily be one of the most haunting Polaroids I think I've ever seen. Now, the Polaroid was captured and then later developed after Jonah Sullivan went missing. It didn't take long for investigators, once they developed it, to realize the same thing that you're probably realizing. There's something in this picture. But before we get into it, if you are a fan of all things chilling, mysterious, and unexplained, please go check out my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. Go click the link in my bio and you can listen on Spotify or Apple. Now, to preface where the picture came from, Jonah was actually an explorer, and he would typically explore abandoned buildings, one of them being the Gershwin Schoolhouse, which was abandoned in the late 70s and no one knew why, and he went in 1999. After he never came back, police went searching where they found the Polaroid camera, but not him. The final picture caught on the camera was eventually developed, which showed someone in the background near the desks. If you zoom into the picture, you would see that Jonah was not alone in that room. An attempt would be made to digitally enhance the picture, and this was the result.
There's a story of a dancing Serbian lady who doesn't like to be disturbed, and if she is disturbed, would haunt you and make you pay for the consequences of disturbing her dance.
There is a woman in Serbia known as the Serbian dancing lady. She's been seen and caught on camera multiple times doing this dance. She's been seen in different locations, but only late at night. If you disturb her dance, she will chase you down.
Jeste dobro?
The Serbian news have also covered a piece on this very strange story, and no one knows who this person is till this day. However, if you see the Serbian dancing lady, run.
The story of the Menendez brothers. The two brothers are found guilty of conspiring to kill their father, and the judge doesn't allow them to use the excuse of sexual abuse they faced at the hands of their father. No one really knows if they were truly abused.
The Menendez brothers. The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries, causing the boys to be retried, but during the second trial, the judge didn't allow the boys to use the sexual abuse as a defense. Both brothers were convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, with both of them receiving life sentences and no possibility of parole. They then didn't see one another for 22 years. Until 2018, they were housed in the same unit, and when they met, they embraced and burst into tears. The child psychologist that works with the brothers claims that the boys are innocent and their father was in fact a monster. A cousin of the boys also states that he remembers Lyle telling him during his childhood that his father was doing things to him that no parent should ever do. Others believe, however, that the boys are simply using any excuse they can, given that they are actually held accountable for their crimes. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide the innocence of...
This is a continuation of what happened to the Menendez brothers, and a look at the trial and what they obviously faced at the hands of their father and the silence of their mother, which led to them killing both their parents.
The Menendez brothers. The case became a national sensation when it was broadcasted on live TV in 1993. The defense lawyer the brothers hired using their parents' money was good. Too good. Leslie Abramson, described as a legal pain in the ass, argued that the boys gunning down their mother and father was an act of self-defense in response to years of physical, psychological, and sexual torment.
Yes, I threw up almost every time when he would come in my mouth.
And your mother, Mr. Menendez, when you were in the bathroom throwing up because of what your father had done, did your mother ever come to you?
No. She taught me how to hide my tears.
What did you say to your mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
The reception the boys received from the public was by no means empathetic. The brothers were mocked, with SNL even making a skit about the trials. More in part 3.
The downside to the Menendez brothers' case is they both set themselves up for arrest, as one of them eventually confesses to their psychiatrist that they both killed their parents.
The Menendez brothers. August 18th, 1989. 2 brothers, Eric and Lyle Menendez, shot their mother and father multiple times with a pair of 12-gauge shotguns. After murdering their parents, the 2 changed their clothes and took a trip to the movie theaters to go see Batman. Ironic. They then returned home, called the cops, and acted as though they had stumbled upon the dead bodies of their parents in their Beverly Hills home. Due to the lack of evidence, the 2 were completely disregarded as suspects of the case, until they started living lavishly using the insurance money they had collected following the deaths of their parents. They bought expensive watches, sports cars, and sat courtside at various sporting events such as the 1990 Knicks game, as shown through their appearance on Mark Jackson's basketball card. The brothers spent nearly $700,000 up until the point where Eric confessed to his psychologist that the boys had in fact killed their parents, leading to their arrest and the case to be taken to trial. More in part 2.
This is the story of the worst ruler yet in history, and the evil atrocities he committed in his lifetime.
This was the worst ruler of all time. Elagabalus took the Roman throne in 218 AD. He wasn't really a well-known Roman ruler. but his actions and behavior mirrored those of the worst rulers of all time. He chained naked women to chariots as if they were horses, and to make it worse, he was even whipping them as they were pulling him around. He also released a bunch of poisonous snakes in the arena during the gladiator games, and watched in enjoyment as his citizens panicked and died from poisonous bites. He also tied his guests to a water wheel and did this until they slowly drowned to death. He also dropped money from his balcony and watched as people killed each other over it, and hired government officials based on the sizes of their penises. He was assassinated at 18, and his corpse was dragged through the streets so people could tear him apart, and what was left of him was thrown into the sewers.
Did you know that beneath Paris in the catacombs lie tunnels filled with skulls and dead bodies? But why though? And why is there a cinema found there too?
What is living in the Paris catacombs? Did you know that the remains of 6 million people are buried beneath Paris? The Holy Innocents Cemetery in Paris was built in the 12th century, but by the 1700s, it was full, and the country needed a place to bury its dead. The bodies were exhumed and moved to the old mining tunnels underneath Paris. The catacombs are 200 miles of old tunnels that Paris was built on top of. Eventually, the bones were organized into elaborate structures and decorative features inside the tunnels. However, many people say that you can hear voices echoing about the tunnels at night. But what's more interesting is that the police stumbled upon a full cinema and bar inside the catacombs, and when they came back the next day, everything had vanished. They only found a note left behind that read, "Do not try to find us." That is why many people wonder about.
Believe it or not, there is a sinkhole in China that is so big it's a whole new world. It's even rumored that new species of living things can be found there.
What is going on inside this sinkhole? Scientists in China have found a giant sinkhole with an ancient forest growing inside of it. The sinkhole spans 192 meters deep and has trees that are 40 meters tall. It is also said that there are species that we have not even discovered living within the caves of the sinkhole. With all the evidence that's present, is it that hard to see how the Hollow Earth theory might be plausible? That's why many people are wondering.
We've come to the end of today's episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more.